Hello everyone and welcome back to a Rise of Kingdom video. This is your boy Legend Ronnie, and today we have an updated video for the 5511 commanders and 5551 commanders, the small investment commanders into the game, because many new players are coming into the game and they don't have the sculptures, they don't have all this time to acquire so many sculptures to have those perfect max 5 legendary marchers on the field. So small investments are necessary. Some commanders are definitely worth it to be max skill, and this is recommended in general if you want to have the best results on field fighting. I'm gonna go through KVK1 commanders, which are the recommended for small investment, and next is going to be KVK2 and 3. After that we go to Season of Conquest, and in Season of Conquest I'm gonna classify it in 4. Is going to be Archers, is going to be Cavalry, and after that is going to be Infantry and Leadership. KVK1 nonetheless is YSG. As a 5511, YSG is good to go. Obviously recommended is Expertise. Is one of those commanders that is still highly recommended to be Expertise, because once you obtain his Expertise you get the circular area around him, which this will allow you to hit multiple targets in a murder ball rather than trying to position your march in a direction to hit multiple targets. And this will also help you a lot on doing AoE bar farming, which is something that a lot of free-to-play low spenders should do. That it will help you generate more resources for free. The next commander that is recommended for small investments in KVK1, it is Richard. You can do him as a 5111 because I already mentioned about the AoE bar farming, and Richard is the most used commander for that because he just heals endlessly with his primary skill, and then you have YSG behind him to do the AoE and you keep chaining barbs, and that's the way to do it. Or you can simply using in KVK1 for field fighting, KVK2, KVK3, but once you reach Season of Conquest he's done. I would not recommend to Expertise Richard as a free-to-play low spender. Only if you are a high spender is recommended to be Expertise, because you will definitely want to progress in that Sunset Canyon, Lost Canyon, and Richard even today after 3.5 years in Sunset Canyon, Lost Canyon is still a key commander for that role. So 5111 Richard or 5511 if you want to spend a little bit more sculptures and use him a little bit on the field as well, it's more than enough for Richard for KVK 1, 2, and 3. Another commander that is worth mentioning is Minamoto, because you can get Minamoto from the VIP, but this is a purchase commander. If you want to work on Minamoto, my recommendation is to max all his skills. I wouldn't do a 5511 Minamoto, although you have to keep in mind in KVK 1, 2, and 3 there is quite a lot of infantry on the field, so I'm not sure that the results will be very beneficial for you for Minamoto. But once you reach Season of Conquest, he gets a museum buff update, and with that one, Minamoto is fairly decent to use on the field. So if you do plan to spend a little bit in the game, Minamoto is still a very good investment for that role if you want to have a decent Cav march. Moving further to KVK 2 and 3 commanders. Nonetheless, there is Saladin. 5551 Saladin, it is the best way to go. But if you don't have the sculptures right off the bat when you unlocked him, you can start as a 5511, because now we have the lock skill system. He is max skill, so I don't have it available, and you can lock the skills. So you can just max the first 2 and then you can lock the last one and keep the third one only at the first, and you can still start using him. But 5551, it is the best way you can go with Saladin. Very optimal and very useful. There's a lot of people that after 3.5 years of playing the game, they're still using like that, and it's still very good. Another commander for KVK 2 and 3 is Alexander, that it is very useful. It's still very useful in Season of Conquest. As a 5511, Alexander the Great is good to go. I highly recommend it for a small investment. If you want to Expertise him, you could wait until you reach Season of Conquest, and then you can decide if it's worth it to Expertise Alexander. My recommendation is that it's still worth it to Expertise Alexander. He is very solid on the field in Season of Conquest, still very solid. He might have a replacement, which is one of the newish commanders that is being introduced, the version 2.0 of Scipio, and it's also the version 2.0 of Alexander. It is called Scipio Africanus. It's the legendary version of Scipio Africanus. Probably gonna make a lot of waves in Season of Conquest since it has much better damage output and a little bit stronger skills. So overall, if you want to look at it as KVK 1, 2 and 3, the best 3 commanders to invest in is YSG, then you have Saladin, and the third one you have Alexander. This has always been like that for a very long time. I think it's probably 2 years or more. KVK 1, 2 and 3, these 3 commanders were the most useful, and they are still useful in Season of Conquest. While any other commander like Genghis Khan, Edward Tomiris, El Cid, Charles Martel, Richard, in Season of Conquest they drop in utility. Constantine, you might say that can be useful. I don't highly recommend it to use it. He does no damage. It's literally a punching bag, literally a support commander. That's exactly what it does. So it doesn't really offer you a lot of good trades. That's why I didn't even mention him. Even though as a 5-5-1-1 Constantine is good to go. But my recommendation is especially if you're a free-to-play low spender, just don't invest in Constantine. Because later on he just becomes Sunset Canyon commander. If you really care for that, then 5-5-1-1 you definitely need it if you want to get high scores in Sunset Canyon. It is time to go to Season of Conquest commanders, and as I mentioned, first I'm going to start with Archers, because everybody maxes YSG, or let's say maybe 95% of the players are maxing YSG, free to play, low spender, high spenders. And the first thing that you need once you reach Season of Conquest, you're looking for a pair for your YSG. You don't want to do Alex YSG in Season of Conquest or Saladin YSG. You want to pair commanders that are specific to the troops. So for example, a 5-5-1-1 Artemisia, as you see that I have her over here. She's my 6th or 7th March in this account. 5-5-1-1, I still use her with the epic gear. Obviously now with the iconic crystal this might just go away, but it is a very solid March, Artemisia and YSG for Season of Conquest to start with, because when you reach Season of Conquest you'll need to manage your sculptures pretty well if you want to have 5 solid marches, so small investments are required. If you plan to expertise her in the end, then you should definitely do that. You can pair her with Amanitor. Amanitor needs to be max skill, and you have a solid Archer March, which is also a Garrison March. Another small investment and a solid choice for your YSG can be a 5-5-1-1 Nebuchadnezzar. My recommendation for Nebuchadnezzar is to be expertise or 5-5-1-5, because he gets 15% damage bonus on the 4 skill. That's pretty huge for archers, and it also reduces the target's rage. There's a 10% chance to reduce the target's rage by 100 and 3 seconds internal cooldown for this. That's a pretty nice kill with 15% damage. And once you expertise him, Nebuchadnezzar does an extra salvo of damage when you're hitting your primary target. It does the 1500, either it's hitting 1 target or 5 targets, and then another 500 on your primary target. But that's an extra damage that it does. Considering you have YSG with 50% skill damage, it empowers this damage. So that's a very solid choices for YSG, but also pretty squishy, because the only thing you get is the 30% defense. That's why I mentioned first Artemisia. Artemisia gives defense health, but gives the defense talent tree as well, which makes your YSG a little bit more tanky. Even though YSG has a museum buff with 10% defense, 3% skill damage, that's pretty solid. So both options are really good. I also like a little bit of mobility every now and then, so it all depends how you get used to play. Slower marches, faster marches, you have the option over here. Another good investment is Ramses. Usually a lot of people say that 5-5-5-1 Ramses is pretty amazing. My recommendation for Ramses is that you can play it like that, 5-5-5-1, and you can put a YSG second to your Ramses or whichever march you feel like. But my recommendation for Ramses is to be expertise. While a commander like Artemisia and a commander like Nebu, they can stay 5-5-1-1 for a KVK, maybe 2 KVKs is quite alright if you're happy with the results. But Ramses, I always felt that he's that type of commanders that needs to be max skill. Usually versatility commanders, and this applies to all commanders that are versatility, they utilize all their skills on the battlefield, even though some might just be conditioned and says that you might just need to have only archers. You might need to be outside the lion's territory, like Trajan has his second skill. But all their skills can be used on the field fighting. When you look at the garrison commander or when you look at the rally commander, they all have at least one of the skills that is specifically just for garrison. That's why versatility commanders is usually recommended to be expertise, because you're really utilizing all of them. Cyrus could also work as a small investment for archers as a 5-5-1-1. It's good to go, but my recommendation is you don't want to get that deep with the small investments when it comes to the archers. You want to stick to what it works really well, such as Nebuchadnezzar, Artemisia, Ramses. Those marchers are super solid. Even Gilgamesh can work as a 5-5-1-1, but again, this is a conquering commander, and in the end I would recommend that you would expertise him. Especially his expertise or the 4th skill of Gilgamesh are pretty solid skills that are kind of a must-have skills. Next up is Cavs in the Season of Conquest. I've also done a video about the best 4 marchers or the most solid 4 marches that you can make, and I'll make sure to post cards on the top about that video as well. You already have a Saladin and you want something with your Saladin, something to work very well. You don't want to invest a lot of sculptures. William is the best choice for your Saladin. So as the smallest investment that you can do on William, and it works really good, is 5-1-1-1. I use a William as a 5-3-1-1 on one of my accounts for 2 KVKs, and this is going to be the 3rd KVK that I'm using a 5-3-1-1 William, because it just works with my Saladin. The more skills you invest in William, the more damage it's going to do, because if you look at the second skill at level 1, he only gets 2% damage. Same is for the 3rd skill. Well, this one is expertise, but the 3rd skill has a 600 damage factor when it's at level 1. So you notice when his max skill it's 800, when his expertise is 1000, and it's same the extra damage when the march is surrounded. The beauty about William is that you're still benefiting from 50 rage per second if you're hitting 2 or 3 targets with his primary skill, and you still get at least 10% defense, which is pretty high, is pretty good. That's why he's such an amazing commander. He's kind of a must-have commanders in your mother ball. 5-1-1-1, 5-5-1-1, 5-5-5-1. William is really amazing, but if sculptures is what you're struggling with, just do his primary skill as 5, unlock the others, and just using like that. The next Cav commander that I would invest on in Season of Conquest is Alexander Nevsky. Now, I already mentioned about the versatility commanders in general and how you should do them. You notice that William was a versatility as well. So obviously, if you max William, is gonna do a lot more damage than he does, and same thing is with Nevsky. Unfortunately, Nevsky has such an amazing skills that I don't even know where to start. Primary skill, his 2nd skill, his 3rd skill, his 4th skill. As a 5-5-5-1 is kind of the minimum you want to start with your Alexander Nevsky, even though this one is a lot of skill damage bonus. So this kind of tells you that he's one of those commanders that needs to be expertise. All the skills are just so good and give so many stuff that you can't stop somewhere. You need to expertise him. But if you need to do some small investments, even 5-1-1-1 Nevsky, you can start using him, and after that slowly just expertise him. Another Cav commander that you can do as a small investment is Xiangyu. As a 5-5-1-1, he's good to go. You could try as a 5-5-1-5 as well for Xiangyu, but there is a lot of skill resets, and those skill resets right now are pretty limited into the game. And along Xiangyu, there is various other commanders that could work for this particular role to reset the skills, and that is Artemisia 5-5-1-5, and there's going to be some infantry ones as well. So it all matters like which one you really want to do, because you'll spend pretty much all your skills reset for that. But if you want to go all the way for Xiangyu, 5-5-1-5 is the way to go. His expertise is not really one of the best, to be very honest. 10% extra skill damage is good, but for field fighting, you're not going to notice such a huge impact with that 10% extra skill damage. And he could get 20% extra skill damage, but that's condition. He needs to get a rage buff that is more than one turn. So pretty much a Trajan, a Joan of Arc, the 4 skill of a William, and then you would get 20% skill damage. Overall, I wouldn't recommend Xiangyu as a free-to-play low spender. I would recommend Xiangyu as a medium spender, high spender, and go all the way and just unlock his expertise for rallying purposes. For a long time back in the days, Attila and Takeda was an option to go for small investments, but now with all these new high skill damaging commanders, they just don't perform as well on the field. And to be very honest, if you're just reaching Season of Conquest, if you have a max Attila and Takeda, I don't think that it's still worth it to go for them. There is so much better commanders to invest on if you're a free-to-play low spender. Particularly, you have Nevsky, you have Xiangyu, you have William. Very, very strong commanders from the Cav perspective. Attila used to be a 5-1-1-1, and then Takeda as a 5-5-5-1, and you could have a pretty decent solid march, or a max skill Takeda and 5 something 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 Attila, and it was working pretty decent. But these two commanders need to be max skill if you still want to get some benefits out of them. Definitely not for small investments. Bertrand is a very, very nice commander. To be honest, I start to like him. But for the quality of commanders that are being introduced, such as Nevsky, such as Flavius Aetius that is gonna come out soon, and the new legendary Scipio that is going to come out soon, I find Bertrand to not living up to the task or to the potential of some of these other commanders can do. I would say that he's just average right now. So definitely no small investments that would work on him, just expertise. Next up is Infantry, and for your Alexander, you will need something that will work, and that is Guan Yu. Guan Yu, he's still very, very solid into the game, even though I think he has almost 3 years since Guan Yu has been released. As a 5-1-1-1-1, Guan Yu is good to go, but what most players try to do is 5-1-5-5 Guan Yu, or if you get him 5-2-4-5, or whichever other combinations that is not too much on the second skill, Guan Yu is solid. Basically, the primary skill and the fourth skill is what you want to be maxed. The third one is quite alright if you don't have one skill or two skills in it. Me personally, I enjoy his expertise. There is a lot of shields on the field now, so as long as he gets a shield, he will get that 15% skill damage. But the most that I like about him is the 100% march speed when he leaves a structure. So it's kind of a getaway car. For example, you find a tile or someone's city, you could immediately just get in there and then you just go out again and you have the 100% march speed. So it's very easy to maneuver Guan Yu around if you like to select your marches individually. But if you just want something good for your Alexander, a 5-1-5-5 Guan Yu is amazing. I started using him as a 5-1-1-1 and it just worked like a charm. And I had second to my Guan a max Alexander. The next minimum investment that you can do for infantry is Leonidas, 5-5-1-1 Leonidas. But to be very honest, with the recent changes into the game and adding a lot of fast marches, I don't see Leonidas to be very, very good. None of his skills give you march speed, so you can get caught pretty easy and can get swarmed down, and you will not run away from that. But if you're looking for another small investment for your Guan Yu, for example, a 5-5-1-1 Leonidas is good to go. But like I said, for the late game now in the Season of Conquest, I find Leo to be a little bit of a drag. Like Guan and Leo is moving too slow in my opinion. Maybe with a lot of crystal tech is going to be much better, or with VIP 18 a lot of march speed, you can try things out. But me personally, I don't enjoy using Leo. I used to put Leo second to my Guan Yu on this account. Now I'm waiting for the new Scipio because I really want to replace Leonidas. If you want an answer regarding CJ, regarding Pakal, regarding Harald, these are commanders that needs to be max skill. I have tried to use, as you notice, my Harald is 5-4-2-5, and I'm not very far away to expertise him, but I stopped working on Harald because too many better newish commanders have been introduced. But if you really enjoy infantry and you want Harald, you need to expertise him. He's not going to work as a 5 something something because his expertise gives him counterattack, and that's exactly how he does most of his damage, by being surrounded and by doing a lot of counterattack and skill damage in the same time. Same thing is for Pakal. As you notice on his expertise, troops led by this commander deal 20% increased counterattack damage and takes 5% less damage from all sources after using an active skill. Even though it has a cooldown, but still pretty much every 5 seconds or 6 seconds, whenever you're using a skill, you get this popped, so you get this counterattack damage. So it's very solid combination, Pakal and Harald, but they need to be expertise. You can't do small investments in this. Same is with CJ. If you want CJ to be really good on the field, he needs to be expertise, so you can buff this as much as possible. Now, as part of the infantry, we have the Scipio Africanus, which I already mentioned a couple of times through the video regarding him. My recommendation is as a 5511, he's a solid, good to go commander. In the end, because you notice he's a versatility commander, I would highly recommend to expertise him. He will be one of those commanders that is really worth it to get them with expertise. How you want to pair him? You want to put him second to your Guan Yu, you want to put Alexander second to your Scipio, or you want to put Harald second to your Scipio. It's a lot of options that you can do with your Scipio on the field, but I like a lot the infantry that has mobility. So 2 solid infantry marchers that you could do could be Guan Yu and Alexander, and then you could do the new Scipio Africanus with Harald. They both have march speed, even though Harald only gives 10%, but Scipio gives about 25%. So this is a very nice and solid composition that you could do. So you can have AoE, you can have damage, you can have all sorts of things. And now the last one is the leadership. From the leadership, the only commander that I really recommend is Trajan to be worked on. Some of the other commanders, you expertise them from the leadership that are worth it along the way. For example, Aethelflaed, she's also leadership. Everybody expertise Aethelflaed. It won't take long. I think by KVK 2 you should have her expertise. And then it's gonna take a long time if you're not spending, but you will get Mehmed at some point. Mulan is integration, and various other leadership commanders that are very decent. But those leadership commanders, I would only use them when they are expertise. Because now some of them, and many of them, they have the museum buff as well, which makes them very interesting and useful into the game. But this video is about small investments. So Trajan can be one of those small investments as a leadership. 5511 or 5551 is what I would recommend to start with. I started using Trajan as a 5551, and I was very happy with the results of Trajan. I saw the difference on the field. Although he is a target, and for some reason leadership, even though he has a lot of defense and health and all that sort of stuff, they just take a lot of bad trades. My best guess is the fact that they just don't do a lot of damage, these leadership commanders, or don't have a lot of counterattack. But for whatever reason, he just takes a lot of severely wounded. So this is something you want to keep in mind. Usually Trajan I work on as a 4th or 5th march is what I would recommend. In the end, if you really enjoy Trajan, you could expertise him, and I would highly recommend to expertise him. And if you want for the future, if you don't want to put him primary, you could put him as a 2nd. You could do a Saladin and Trajan. You could do a Scipio Africanus, the new legendary Scipio Africanus and Trajan, and there is a lot of various other combinations that you could do. But Trajan and Mulan with the museum right now on the field seems to be pretty solid. The trades aren't that bad, and you have 2 amazing support commanders for your other marches to boost them with damage, stats, and all the other stuff. If you're thinking a small investment, something like Honda, I would say that you're doing a mistake. Even though he has 2500 damage factor with AoE, it takes a lot of rage, his leadership, and a lot of people that max skill Honda now are using him as a 2nd. So how beneficial is that to max skill a leadership commander and then just put him as a 2nd? I feel is a little bit of a waste in my opinion, but if you really want to try Honda, that's entirely up to you. I don't really recommend it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about these small investment commanders. I think it's a very solid option to start with because a lot of players that reach Season of Conquest, they won't have the necessary sculptures. So small investments are really necessary and useful in the same time. These small investments don't work for garrison. That's why I never mention a single garrison commander except a monitor a little bit there if you're planning to work on Artemisia. And it is the same for rallying commanders. You should not rally with small investment commanders. Those are max skill legendaries. If you want to rally, if you want to garrison, this was purely for field battles and field fighting. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you on the next one. This is your boy Legend Ronnie signing off. Peace out, yo, and take care. See you on the next one, and stay safe out there, my friends.